Hey guys, Civil Lord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman Arkham Asylum, or is it Arkham City? I'm not sure. Let me know about that in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure it's Arkham Asylum. Either way, today we're taking a look at the Killer Croc MegaFig. Before we get into the meat and taters of this review, since I no longer have the packaging for this figure, much like a lot of the DC Multiverse figures we're going to be taking a look at this week. They're just ones I've been sitting on for a while now and haven't gotten around to reviewing. But before I do any kind of top 10 list for 2022, I figured I'd bang out some of these figures I have been sitting on for a while and give you my thoughts on them, because if I don't do that, they're technically not eligible to be considered for the top 10 at all. So, with that being said, let's first take a look-see at the infamous collectible trading card, which I believe features a render of how Killer Croc appears in the Arkham games, which, not gonna lie, I would have much rather have had. Yeah, this is gonna be one of those reviews. That said, buy on the back that you can pause and read at your own leisure. Long story short, Killer Croc is Batman villain and was kind of a pain in the butt to beat in Arkham Asylum, and my friend Sarah, who goes by the name Silas now, don't ask, can attest to this because he used to scare the crap out of her. Remember talking to her in high school about it. But with that being said, Killer Croc, of course, comes with the infamous hockey puck display stand we're used to seeing with all McFarlane Toys releases, which, if you guess this base isn't going to help him stand at all, you'd be right. Because there he is. There's the base. There's the scale. Useless. That said, oh boy, where do I begin with this one? So, first and foremost, size aside, because he is too freaking small. He should have been at least 10 inches tall, and I think he's about, I want to say between 8 and 9. Which is fine for like a comic book Killer Croc. I don't think that's too much to ask, but for the Arkham games, he is a freaking giant. Like, he can hold Batman in his hand. Literally, I remember watching the cutscene from the first Arkham game where they're wheeling him in, and he is just massive. Like, Batman should be as big as one of his legs, and I think he goes up to about his chin. Which is the same problem I have with the Solomon Grundy collectible figure. Way too freaking short. I know that's fine with some people, but if you're going to brand it as a specific interpretation of something, it should be a little bit closer to the source material. You know, paint and whatnot aside, the sculpt should match the source material, and as far as I'm concerned, this guy's close, but it's not quite there. And oh boy, the paint. I know the Todd Father likes to save us some money here and there by skimping out on the paint apps, which I myself can appreciate, because sometimes you don't need a crap ton of paint. I mean, more is better, of course, but sometimes less is more. And sometimes it's not 100% needed. But on this guy, his skin is all wrong. The color of the scales is way off, especially where it's supposed to be the darker shade of green. Essentially, this guy should have dark green that fades to like a light, kind of limeish, lemony type green on, you know, the chest and the lower face and the insides of the arms. He doesn't have any of that. He's just light green with some black slapped onto it, at least as far as I can tell. While I know some people are okay with that and will just paint them up, I'm visually impaired and can't do that. So unless one of you guys out there wants to hook me up and paint mine and maybe tighten the joints while you're at it, I'm stuck with what I have. And while I still like this figure, I gotta point out the flaws, because if somebody wants a tried and true Arkham Asylum Killer Croc, this ain't it, dude. It's a cheaper option, mind you, because the DC Collectibles one, which is littered with fragile QC issues and whatnot, is more accurate. It's got the right size, and I really wish they just took that sculpt and made it out of better materials, because McFarlane does own DC Collectibles now, or DC Direct, whatever they go by. And that would have been really cool, because I really wanted that old Killer Croc, but I never bought it because everyone's arms kept falling off. Not to mention he also had the chains on the feet and on the neck and on the wrists. It's just a better looking figure. But as far as quality is concerned, this is the better figure, despite the fact that it is pretty loose in some places. So before this turns into a rant, don't want us to turn to another Spider-Man Noir review, because God forbid. But, or Sentry for that matter. But as far as articulation on this guy goes, his head can look around a little bit. It's on like a single ball peg. Kind of sucks. And a missed opportunity for a hinge jaw, in my opinion. And unlike Necron, you can't just hook this guy up with chains. You're going to literally have to give him, like, Dremel out some holes and pin him in there or something, which kind of sucks. That said, his shoulders can go out to the side pretty far, actually. And they can rotate, but mine are really loose. Really loose. There's not a lot of friction in there. And I can't actually pull these out to tighten that up. And this shoulder ain't worth the crap. Like, it is really loose. Going in and out. But I've had two of these guys, and the other one, this shoulder wasn't worth the crap either. So, take that for what it's worth. You can see the arm just kind of flops around. That said, the elbow, it's got a single hinge there. And rotation. Works just fine. Straighten it out. It's got a hinge in the wrist. With that rotation there as well. He's got a diaphragm joint, which on mine, both of them actually, the top joint is pretty wobbly. The bottom joint can be, but there are points of tightness there. And yeah, I can't really get him to bend forward enough to lock that down. So, he can bend a little bit, not a ton. He can bend back more than he can bend forward. But really, he should be hunched over like this, which is how he's depicted in the game. I mean, you can rotate it and tilt it a little bit, but yeah, it's just way the heck too loose. Way too loose. I can't really wedge it in there anymore. So that kind of sucks. That said, he's got a waist twist, which on the other one was super floppy and not worth a crap, so this one is at least a little better than that. His hips, they have ratchets in them. This one not as much as the other side. It's got a faint one in there, but not a lot. This one on the other hand, you can definitely feel it's got some friction in there. His legs can kick out. I should have swiped the other leg from the other one. But he's got a thigh cut. He's got a double knee. That looks okay, I guess. It's a little flat. And then he's got a hinge in the foot. Which on the first one of these I got, the toe joint broke off. This one's a lot better. Locks into place. He's got an ankle rocker that works fine. Woo! And peg holes at the bottom of the feet. That said, yeah, this figure is... If it weren't for the looseness, I'd like it a heck of a lot more. But it is too freaking loose. Both of them. I've had two of these guys now, and they're both loose as heck. I don't know if that's just my bad luck or what, but this guy definitely needs some kikis or something because he is loosey-goosey. Way too loosey-goosey. That said, he stands better than the other one. Even with this leg being kind of whatever with the clicky joint, but it's just, it sucks, man, because I'm holding out hope that we get a comic book Killer Croc or some kind of Build-A-Figure or something, because this one's just not doing it for me. This one really sucks. The Mattel one wasn't great either. I don't care. The best Killer Croc as far as sculpt and paint goes was DC Collectibles. It's just a fragile piece of junk. But this one's a loose piece of junk, kind of, sort of. So that is a bummer. Is it as bad as some of the weaker figures in this line? I don't think so. I think the sculpt is there. I think underneath all the issues, there is a good figure here, but it's just, I had two of these now, and both of them really weren't that great. So, It's unfortunate, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about it like I do with Marvel Legends, because this is still better than a crappy Marvel Legends. A crappy DC figure is better than a crappy Marvel Legends. Heck, a crappy G.I. Joe is better than a crappy Marvel Legends, I think. I think just a piece of crap is better than a crappy Marvel Legends, which, in my case, has been a lot of them lately. So, the exception of that gore, I guess. But with that being said, before this review drags out any longer than it already has and turns into a rant, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. And much like the Arkham Knight, who I took a look at yesterday, I do not have any of my Arkham figures handy, but I do have our two regulars, so we will be comparing good old Croc to those. And as promised, here is Croc alongside our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus and the K11 Spawn, who's not towering over everyone today, because while Croc ain't as big as he should be, he's still a mega figure, therefore he towers over the likes of good old Al Simmons here. And before anyone comes up in my comments section being all, he doesn't need to be that big, look up the Batman Arkham games, both Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Killer Croc is a freaking giant. Granted, if this was a comic book version of Killer Croc, I'd be way more lenient on the size, because as far as a comic book based Killer Croc goes, this is pretty much the perfect size in my opinion. But since it's supposed to be based off how he appeared in the Arkham games, I have to base my opinions as such. Therefore, he is too small and should have been bigger. So before you go leaving stupid comments, just know, any stupid comments gonna get deleted. I don't have time to deal with that crap. So with that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and as much as it pains me to say this, the more I mess around with this guy, the more I start to dislike it. Not only is the size not accurate to the source material, but the colors are all wrong, the articulation, where it counts, is loose as heck, and overall, it's just not a fun figure to pose for me. I have to be honest here in saying that this guy is way more disappointing than the Man-Bat, because while the Man-Bat had its issues, this guy, for some reason, is looser than that figure was. Yeah, and he doesn't even have the upper body weight that the Man-Bat has. Or really, the loose ankles, because while that Man-Bat may have a little bit of trouble standing, this guy has trouble doing literally anything else. And that really sucks, because the only thing saving this figure, for me or probably anyone else at this point, is the sculpt. The sculpt is actually really good. Even though it's small, I could probably look past that if the colors were better and the articulation was tighter. But as it stands, this has to be one of the most disappointing releases from this line this past year for at least me personally. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, for better or for worse. If you are so inclined, please feel free to do all the YouTube rigmarole, as well as hit me up over on Instagram at Overlord Productions. If you ever want to talk toys or anything in particular, that is the #1 best way to get a hold of yours truly. But as always, keep the comments civil. This world sucks enough as it is, especially when I know I'm going to get crap from one of you guys saying that he doesn't need to be that big, and I await that day. Just like all you guys who won't let me live down the whole Frankenstein's monster, Dr. Frankenstein name thing. I still get comments on those videos. Give it up. I already know. Jeez. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.